You hand off a project, wait a week, and what comes back looks absolutely nothing like what you asked for. So you end up rewriting the entire thing yourself. Taking back the work out of frustration might solve the immediate problem, but it creates a permanent ceiling on your career. You cannot advance to higher levels of leadership if you are still executing the daily tasks of an individual contributor. Today, we are going to fix that. You are going to build a perfect handoff brief right now to significantly reduce rework and reclaim your schedule. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. Think of one routine task on your plate right now that you want to hand off to someone else this week. Mastering the mechanics of delegation allows you to stop acting as a bottleneck and start scaling your impact across a team. When a project fails, the natural instinct is to blame the person who executed it. But in the vast majority of cases, the failure occurred at the very beginning, during the handoff. We suffer from the illusion of transparency. Because the vision is clear in our minds, we assume they see the exact same picture. They can't. We give vague instructions like, put together a quick report on last quarter, and then we are shocked when they spend 3 days building a 40-page slide deck instead of the 1-page summary we actually wanted. Abandoning the expectation of mind reading is what allows your team to move forward with the same clarity you have, ensuring the first draft is much closer to the final product. Step 1 in the clarity transfer system is to paint a highly specific picture of what done looks like. You have to define the final deliverable with absolute precision, rather than just describing the general activity. You wouldn't hire a contractor, hand them a pile of wood, and say, build something nice. You'd hand them a detailed, measured blueprint. You need to provide a blueprint for your tasks. On your paper, write down the exact parameters for the task you chose. Define the exact format and the tone and the specific audience for the final product. When you define the exact finish line clearly, your team can execute the work with speed and confidence rather than hesitation. Step 2 is establishing the guardrails. Once they know the destination, you must set explicit boundaries for their budget, their authority, and their resources. High performers actually crave constraints. Giving someone total, undefined freedom paralyzes them because they are constantly guessing what you want. Constraints empower them to move safely within a defined space. Grab a sticky note and write down the maximum amount of time they are allowed to spend on this task. Below that, write down one specific action they are not allowed to do. If you expect a task to take 2 hours, you must say that out loud. Otherwise, a highly dedicated employee might spend 2 entire days trying to make it perfect. Defining these negative boundaries is an effective way to prevent wasted company resources and protect your team from burnout. Step 3 addresses the most critical failure point in the delegation process, the verbal check for understanding. Typically, a manager gives instructions and asks, "Does that make sense?" The employee, wanting to look competent, nods and says yes, even when they have no idea what they are doing. To fix this, you must use the playback technique. You need the employee to summarize the assignment back to you, ensuring mutual understanding before they start working. Write down this exact script to take ownership of the communication. Say, "I just shared a lot of details, and I want to make sure I was clear. How would you summarize the next steps we just agreed on?" By using I language, you put the burden of clarity on yourself. This catches misunderstandings instantly at the starting line, while protecting the employee's dignity. The final step is establishing scheduled milestones. You need to build intermediate check-ins into the process well before the final deadline. This eliminates the 2 extremes of bad management, hovering over your team's desks every 2 hours, or passively ghosting them until the day the project is due. Open your calendar right now. Based on the complexity of the task you chose, schedule a specific, brief check-in halfway to the deadline. Think of a milestone like a navigation system. As you see on this timeline, it's much easier to correct a slight detour on day 3 than to realize you drove to the wrong city on day 14. Structured, scheduled milestones replace the anxiety of hovering with a predictable cadence of trust. You have now fully outlined your first clarity transfer delegation brief. You possess 4 distinct assets for your task: a defined end product, established boundaries, a verification script, and a check-in schedule. Here is your 48-hour challenge. Take the task you just outlined and conduct the handoff meeting with your team member within the next 2 days. When you stop expecting people to read your mind, you provide the technical parameters they need to succeed. This systematic transfer of clarity is how you move away from micromanagement and build a team that operates with autonomy.